You are welcome back to Daybreak here on Trust Television. It's good to have you back to our discussion segment here on the show. Now, today we're going to be talking about flooding. Nigeria is facing an unprecedented flood crisis with devastating consequences in Maiduguri, Borno State. Now, aside Maiduguri, we've had flooding in Katsina, we've had flooding in Kebbi, Kaduna through in the course of the year. Now, not less than a staggering 200,000 people have been left homeless, while in some areas in Bauchi and Kaduna, lives have been lost and properties destroyed, farmlands ravaged. The sheer scale of disaster is overwhelming and the need for urgent action is paramount. Now, today, we'll be discussing the flooding crisis and we'll explore solutions to mitigate its impact. We will also explore the immediate measures needed to manage the current situation we have, including relief efforts, support for affected communities as well. And we'll delve into long-term strategies for prevention, resilience, including infrastructure, investment, environmental management, policy reforms, and proactive measures that could be put in place to mitigate this if it happens again. In the studio today, we have the former Acting Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, retired Air Vice Marshal Akugbe. Air Vice Marshal Iyamu is the president of Environmental Protection and Climate Change Practitioners, and also an author who has written books on climate change and environmental management. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you viewers for listening. Yeah.
All right, let's get straight into the conversation. Before we go, what is your take on the flooding situation? We saw in 2019, 2020, it's like year in, year out, we keep on experiencing one flood or another. I think the significant one we had in 2021 was the Lagdo Dam that spread through to Anambra and some other states, Anambra, Kogi, Kebbi. And then this year we're seeing the Alao Dam breaking down, and we see what is happening in Maiduguri, where lives have been lost, children are missing, families can't locate their loved ones, hospitals are being flooded. And we also saw farmlands that that ravaged farmlands, rendering farmers without sources of income. What is your take on how we've handled flooding in Nigeria over the years?
Yes, thank you once again, Lilian. You see, flooding, what is flooding? Flooding is water that is moving at a very strong speed down, normal, layman definition. Now, we are having what is called inverse geomorphology now. What's geomorphology? You are talking of flooding, mega flooding, high magnitude flooding that is moving at a very high speed but low frequency. What does it do? It brings out everything. Now, Nigeria, the world has been experiencing very, very strange phenomenon. When we were growing up, you know that there are 4 seasons in a year. That no longer exists. Now you have phenomena now ruling the seasons. So to say Maiduguri issue, we didn't see it coming. No, we saw it coming. Now we have to also praise the president for acting proactively, getting to the business and saying let them relocate. But the question is, relocate to where? Maiduguri is a flat land. There's nowhere to relocate to. So people are going to be inside. They're going to be inside. January, I told them that, look, I drew the nation's attention to it that, look, the El Nino, that which is the coldness, was staying longer than necessary. What does that mean? It's going to bring in more snow. February, I told you that El Nino, which is the heat, is coming in, which extended to March. What does that do? It's bringing in heat, and heat does not stay on its own. It's going to heat up the action zone of the atmosphere, which is 15 to 35 kilometers of the atmosphere. What does that do? It keeps pressure down and keeps temperature down. What are you doing? More water is going. By April, today, that look, 2024 was the hottest year since record began in 1940. And what does that mean now? You see, you are going to see that 0.69 temperature, there have been an increase of 0.69 temperature. And this year alone, you are going to have 0.003. And additionally, 2.1% carbon has been pumped into the atmosphere. And that amounts to 400 billion metric tons. What are we talking about? You are having a temperature change. what creates flooding is temperature. I'm just building up a story now. In May, I said, look, watch the temperature. Watch the temperature. Now the temperature started rising. So that, look, we needed to say, if we are to control this temperature, 7% of the carbon that is going to the atmosphere have to be reduced. And more water now started, the ocean was rising by 6 inches, and is trending to rise by 2 feet as time goes on. More water was being pumped into the equator. When water gets to the equator like that, it slows down the movement of the air. You notice at the time you have longer days, that as if the day is not going to get dark. If you go to UK now, that is what is happening now. Now, by June, which is the beginning of the storm season, I also drew the nation's attention to it. This is the beginning of the storm season, and if we don't do anything, you're going to have problems. There's already so much water in the equator. Don't forget, I told you that we are having an inverse geomorphology now. That means the rain is supposed to start from the coast and go to the arid region, but it's not starting from the arid region to come to the coast now. Then in July 21st was the hottest day in the year. Then in August, what happened? Then you go to the world overshoot. When the world got to its overshoot on 21st December 1971, what has happened? You now develop two phenomena, which was the colossal iceberg in the Antarctica, and the global flood outburst, which is affecting now. Like I said before, Nigeria is not in the equator, but it's in the Sahel. Okay. Anything that is affecting the Sahel is affecting Nigeria. So you have so much water now that would have fallen, say, in about 2 years, dumping on any of the states in the arid region now. Very unusual. But for the lake, the question will now be, we have about between 324 to 340 lakes in Nigeria, or whatever. You will now ask the question, how do we maintain our lakes?
Okay, before we get to the maintenance of our lakes and all this detailed information now, the question still lies, how do we manage all of this? These are climate terminologies that Nigerians rarely understand or take cognizance to. Nigerians are simply asking the questions, if this information is out there to the government, why are proactive measures not put in place? And what kind of proactive measures can actually be put in place that would have an immediate effect, or maybe, let's say, a 1-2 year effect, in such a way that if it's been put in place this year, we might not see as much effect, as much horrific impact of the flooding by next year. We've seen flooding since 2019. As at 2019, when you were the acting director of NEMA, we had the flooding in Anambra, and this information was definitely put out there to people and to the government. What was being done to make sure that something is being done to curb it or mitigate it to the barest minimum in such a way that it will have little or no impact on the lives of Nigerians? First of all,
the response agencies have equated flood prediction to preparation. That's very wrong. You see, you need conceptual clarification, because the moment you say we are predicting flood, so what do you want these people to do? When is the flood coming? When is it going to start? What magnitude is it going to take? And two, let us stop making generalized statements. We are going to have flooding in the northeast. We are going to have flooding. No, take it state by state basis and tell us how each state is going to impact the disaster, the disaster of Nigeria. Those are very important, because the people you are talking to, they don't understand what you are talking about. Break it to their local languages. Break it to their bring in their chiefs and everything to say, look, flooding steals from us all. It is not a thing that you can wait for, because now, as an emergency manager, you are always on the move, looking at it every time, because you always pray that it should end well. 3, we should not leave disaster management to hope and say, okay, after some time it will go. No, you will see that hope has come to grief now. We are living in a weather that we're not prepared for. Obviously, the ministry, department, and agency were not prepared for this weather.
No, just like you said, they're mistaking announcements for preparedness. So what are those prepared steps they can take in terms of being prepared for it? What are those steps that can be taken? to prepare the minds of Nigerians, put in place. Take, for instance, I went to Bayelsa a few years back, and I realized that these people found a way to build on waters. Now, if you have a land that is waterway, are there certain things people can do as Nigerians that they need to be educated on, that they can do to reduce the impact if such happens, especially for the sake of their homes and their properties?
See, when flood is coming, the way it comes these days, you see the way in Vietnam. You don't have, there's no preparation that you can do that is going to say, we are going to resist this flood. First, you have to evacuate them.
Okay.
When you evacuate them to a safe ground. The flood is not going to take everywhere. You will see it from the flood mappings. This area is going to be safe. Move the people there. Take care of them, because once flooding starts, communication is going to be affected, because there will be jamming. Everybody is on the phone the same time. You have to have disclosures. What are these areas? Like I said before, if you do state by state now, you also have to do local government by local government. So how is this flood going to affect? How is this flood going to affect this local government? There are some that will be out of it and everything. Disclosures, because if you don't give them disclosures, it's going to affect their farmland. It's going to affect their lives and livelihood. It's going to affect everything about them. Information now. When we evacuate you, this is how we are going to deal with you. You are going to be fed like this. There will be hospital here. There will be your children will continue the schooling, because once there is flooding, it affects so much the education, because the schools are going to be used as holding point. These things should the people in the Bonu, would they understand what flood prediction is? No. The thing is, how would their life be saved going forward? By now, all the agencies involved should have been in Bonu. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Water Resources. All the agencies should be there, because everything has broke. What is an emergency? In an emergency, all rules break down. That's where they are now. There's no water. My fear is the zoonotic disease that comes from animal to man, because all the pathogens now are going to be put inside the water, and it's likely that we're going to have a strange disease coming out of this flood. The flood stage, how are we going to manage it? The flood stage, that's the receding side. Graves have been excavated now. Toilets have been excavated. Everything is messy. The first thing you do now is to restore the psychology of the man. To restore his psychology. First of all, you have, in less than 2 hours, you have thrown him into an environment he was not prepared for. So you have to restore his psychology. After restoring his psychology, you have to provide health for him. Then food. How do you provide the food? You see, it's worse than what we are thinking. It's a national emergency. It's a national catastrophe. And we should call it that. And it happened like that. This is not the first time it happened. It happened in 1994. So 30 years later, what have we learned? What have we learned? You now ask yourself, flooding we have 2012, 2018, 2022, and now. Now, you should have known all the analysis to deal with the constraints that have happened every year. You cannot stop flooding, but you can manage it properly. Evacuate it. Where are you evacuating them to? The weather signal was given to you since the beginning of the year. You saw it coming. So it's very, very crucial that you should not leave flood announcement to replace preparation and response.
I know it seems like these flood announcements are given to the people, and then they're expected to do whatever message they want to do with it. But quickly now, with all these points you've made on preparations that could be made, do you think the Nigerian government has what it takes, and the emergency agencies, do you think they have what it takes to actually achieve this?
It's not a matter of what it takes anymore. It's a matter of getting whatever you can bring from anywhere now. Lives is involved. We're talking about millions of Nigerians. It doesn't go for what it takes now. No. It's like a man that is diagnosed of cancer now. You borrow money, whatever you need to treat. So the life of Nigerians are involved. Those ones, the anxiety is so much now.
Yeah, but do they have to wait to get to a point where it's so critical that you now have to start gathering? Because when these informations are being brought out, they're brought out towards the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year. Shouldn't preparations be made in such a way that when it comes to this time, it's just going to flow with ease? That's why I asked, do they even have what it takes to even make the preparations ahead of time? Are there resources to do this based on your experience?
See, our policies have always come undone. there's a national disaster response plan that spells out what everybody is supposed to do. Okay. It's a national contingency plan. It does not require Mr. President is so busy. Other agencies, you're supposed to see, they fell flat now. Every year, everybody keeps talking, just keep talking, and anything. Now is the real action. You have a plan. There's a policy. If anything happens, this one does this. Minister of Education, you do the Minister of Health, you do this. Agriculture, you do this. Everybody have his role there, supervised by NEMA. You understand? This one is definitely beyond NEMA. It's a whole of nation mobilization now that will go there. You have to restore, like I said, the confidence, the psychology of those people immediately. Wherever they are, they have to be told that, look, they are Nigerians. They are Nigerians. Feeding and all. But you see, it should not just be managed like every other IDP camp. You go to IDP camp, you will weep. You will weep. So this one, at this initial time, IDP camp is supposed to be a transit point. You go there, when everything stabilizes, we'll bring you back. IDP camp in Nigeria, if you enter there, you have entered. It becomes a line item on the budget. Every day we'll budget for it and everything. So these people now need attention like yesterday. Yesterday, you cannot stop the flooding, but the management is what we are doing. And again, too, now we have to rescue our national disaster response plan now and say, look, now what it envisaged, what is happening now is bigger. So the national disaster response plan now have to be expanded, have to be modified, because it is a systemic document that is leveraging national disaster and national security. Food is involved here. 2, the government should be working on insurance now, agricultural insurance, immediately, because these people are going to come out with nothing. With nothing. The Ministry of Agri, like yesterday, should be working on national insurance policy, because those people that were affected since 2012, because they don't have insurance policy, most of them have become depressed. So this, like I told you, they have to be data, they have to be research. We assume that 2012 will have been coming. Now, the insurance program should be very, very, because to bring them back to farming status immediately as they go. You give them farming implement, give them some money, give them some settlement and all. Yeah.
Well, are this possible with the kind of office holders we have in Nigeria? Is it possible for this to happen? Now, there's a difference between having the will to do it and knowing what to do at the same time. Is it possible that this would happen in Nigeria?
See, it's not a matter of office holder or no office holder now. This is a disaster. It's just like whether it's your enemy, you see him on the street dying, you will first of all rescue him.
Yes.
And say, I won't talk to this man again.
Yes, that's what I was asking. Is it possible? Because this
it's very possible.
Keeps happening year in, year out.
It's very
Experts
possible.
are giving opinions like you are giving right now, and it's like it's being thrown to the wind and nothing is being done. People are suffering in IDPs. So the question is this doable in Nigeria today? And why, in your thoughts, why do you think we have people who are there and are not putting this to effect?
You see, first of all, I'm always an advocate of head hunting, good head hunting.
Okay.
Leave primordial sentiments out, primordial proclivity, leave it out. Get the right people to do the job for you. If we had traveled on that trajectory, I don't think it would have been as worse as this. You have a dam. Break the history of that dam. When last was it maintained? You know, the dam is like a car. You maintain it. So otherwise, you see, you just have one in Sudan. Or it's dam that are busted now because of the massive rain that is coming. Like I told you, I gave you a background of what is there. So we need to start shopping. There are so many Nigerians everywhere that can do the job perfectly for you. So, but this situation now strike on the very conscience of everybody to act, no matter how lethargic you are. You see, because this is a sinkhole now that is going to create inertia for the economy of Borno State, the dark side of the economy. So everybody have to quickly wrestle it now. Mainstream anything that is available coming, and all the states should also show empathy by now to Borno State. One is affected, all is affected. All
right, now let's touch a bit on your environmental protection and climate change practitioner aspect of this. What are those, let's start with infrastructure. What are those infrastructural developments that could be put in place that would, mitigate this, probably gradually from next year moving forward? What are those infrastructural projects that you think would mitigate this in the long run? Let's take, for instance, especially looking at the case of this dam, just abruptly, this wasn't planned. Then we also see the cases of, excessive rainfalls where weather forecasts are being given. So, but what are those infrastructural things that could be put in place that would ease the lives of people and reduce it to the bare minimum from time to time?
See, to manage the environment, it is important. At the end of the day, it is good for us all. It's as simple. Take, for example, Abuja here. Are you proud when you go around Abuja, the heap of dirt that is around here? No. The question you are going to ask is, what are the 6 area councils? What are they doing? As if they don't exist. They just on paper, and with that they don't exist. Abuja is supposed to be very clean. The rain is coming here. We don't know what impact it's going to have on Abuja. The rain is coming up here. You see the rain that has been falling in the last 3 days. What has happened in Abuja? There's what is called island heat, which is consequences on development. With tar roads, we have done a whole lot of things. Okay, but there's an island heat. Those roads generate heat. Nations across the world, when you travel out, you see in between roads, you see trees. Tree is not just any plant that is standing. It's a long plant with a trunk and with root inside. So much root. And there are 3 trillions of them in the world. When you plant them, they take carbon dioxide. With those, their roots everywhere. They store it. Now, we should be more worried about Abuja here. First of all, what are we going to be doing? Clear the refuse. Let the 6 area council do their job. 2, let's start the planting of trees. 3, let us educate the hinterland. The National Disaster Response Plan is not a book, it's a policy that should be kept somewhere. You should know it. You should be reading it to me now. That the National Disaster Plan says this at school in the Philippines. Even the child that is in the primary school or secondary school know their response plan. He knows that once typhoon happens, this is what I should do, this is what I should do, this is what I should do. Does that happen here? Escalating it for the long-term plan, see, you need dam. Lago have not even opened their dam. You can imagine how devastating it's going to be when they open it this year. I am guiding against Abuja. Now, we should clear all the drainages and evacuate, because when the flooding starts, it is those are the items that cause the epidemic.
All right. Now, it's a good thing we've spoken on Abuja, but how about the arid lands? Well, let's quickly wrap up with that. How about the arid lands, the flat lands that, like we said, Borneo, these are flat lands. There are no high areas that people could run to at the end of the day. What are those infrastructural solutions? And also, infrastructure, climate change, are things that could be done to save it moving forward?
Climate change, there's nothing you're going to do about that. But for those arid lands, now that you've known how devastating it could be, now the River Benue starts from Fufude and goes down to Numa and thereabout. We need 3 mega dams to be able to take most of this water. You understand what I'm saying? You see, the phenomenon now that, like I told you, a glacial lake outburst flooding will continue to happen. You saw it in Sudan. You saw it in Vietnam. They will continue to happen. So we need 3 mega dams for a start on the River Benue and on the River Niger. For Lokoja, that one is very certain. What are we going to do with the water? You see, we should stop allocating the watershed. In Borno State, you cannot have watershed. You know what a watershed is? It takes the water as it's coming out, goes in there before you begin to take it out, because before it begins to go out. 4, there have to be a program of managing our dam, maintenance. That maintenance is very, very important. The oldest dam in Nigeria is the Kanji Dam, which is about 50 years. You see how the maintenance is. You see, in managing all of this, you see, countries like Turkey just built about 22 dams. What are they doing? To solve the environmental problem and also create electricity for themselves. Well, we should be looking at that. If we have 3 mega dams now, it will give us ability to manage our flood water and excess water, and it will also enable us to create electricity.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for giving us double solutions to one problem.
Yes.
And thank you for giving us a very insightful episode. I actually enjoyed it, and I hope Nigerians were able to learn and pick one or two things. But very quickly before we go, what roles can Nigerians themselves play to curb this?
They should not dump their refuse anyhow. Let them dump it in the designated area. And again, too, we should start looking at how we can pivot towards renewable energy. That is what the world is going at, because the carbon that is being dumped into the atmosphere is much.
All right.
And a lot of it is coming out from here because we're still flaring the gas.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Air Marshal Akugbe Iyamu. Air Vice Marshal Akugbe Iyamu, for this very insightful and educating conversation. It's an honor having you here with us today.
Thank you very much.
But to you there at home, I hope you were able to pick one or two things from our conversation today. And like he said, Nigeria, the environment is ours. Like it or not, climate change is coming. The best we can do is find ways to manage it in our own little ways while we expect the agencies necessary to do the right by us. But do not go anywhere. When we get back, we're diving straight into the front pages of our newspaper. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.